The Central Division standings are all over the place right now, and the Avs are right smack dab in the middle of it. So things are starting to get interesting as we head towards the Christmas break. Let's start the show.
It is the DNVR Avs Pod and Show. What's up, everybody? Not a surprise. We're coming to you from a bar. It's the Breck Brew Farmhouse in Littleton. Nick Gismondi, Nathan and Rudolph, pleasure to have you along. Gizmo and Rudo, we'll have Big E later on. Tiff pushing the buttons. And, of course, the DNVR Avs Show is presented by our friends at Bet365. I am still on a colder streak than the beer that we can have here at this wonderful place. What's up, buddy?
It's pretty cold. That's pretty cold.
It's real cold right now. Yeah, we're not good, Bob. It's not good. First of all, and most importantly, happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, officially. I know we did this at midnight last night when we were together, but it's always great to be with you. And what a cool place this is, by the way. I've not yet been to the farmhouse.
Yeah, I've been here a few times. It's always good to come back. It's a great place to grab a beer. So.
Lots of beer, pretty good food in Littleton. Lots of stuff in the area. So if you are so inclined and looking, come on down. Make sure you stock up on all their products for the Christmas season. Parties are starting to kick off big time. So this is the place to go to get you all squared away. Pleasure to be here. These guys are awesome, wonderful. I've had a couple cool experiences with the Breck Brew folks. I got to sit at the ice deck the other day down low.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, as many years as I've been around hockey, that's the first time I've ever sat on the glass for a hockey game, especially an NHL game.
It's one of those things, right? Cool experience.
Yeah.
Everyone should do it once. If you're a diehard hockey fan, you usually don't end up sitting on the glass.
No. Well, no. You're normally up in the cheap seats. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about last night. Just you've kind of had a little bit of time to digest it. Difficult loss for them, only because I think our expectations on that team right now are pretty through the roof.
Yep.
Mainly on the goaltending side of things, which I was super happy with. So take the goaltending out of the equation. Last night, it's like, Bednar said it the other day. You're either you're plugging one hole, and then as soon as you get your finger in that hole, another hole pops, and you get your finger there, and then it's another one, and you're kind of playing this game of patching things together. But for the Avalanche, the problem now is a little bit of illness.
Yep.
The flu is running through that locker room. Guys are feeling a little bit better, but they were not 100% last night. I would say they're probably like 75% last night. And now you've got the thing that's the streakiest for any team all season long. It's the power play. And with the extra man, they just can't seem to get it together.
Yeah, look, I think you should be pretty disappointed in some of their star players, even if they were sick. Their performance wasn't good enough last night, and that's fine. Games come and go, guys come and go as far as their nightly performance. McKinnon and Rantanen will probably score 5 points each on Thursday. That's just how they operate. But the power play is something that has to start getting better. And it will. Again, you call it. It's a streaky thing for all teams in the NHL. But we are at a point where it is now actively hurting the Avalanche instead of just not helping them. And when you get to that point, things have to change. Not necessarily personnel, not necessarily systems, but something, at least mentality-wise, has to change. Whether that's, okay, we want to try to have Cale Makar be the trigger man, or maybe let's try McKinnon going back to being the trigger man, or swapping the guy in front of the net, put Val Nichushkin in the bumper spot. Whatever it is, you have to start mixing and matching and find something that clicks for you, because right now it's got nothing.
And Bedsy did do that. Not this last game, the game before when we were back at home still. He tried to mess with some things against Nashville. It was okay. It was okay, but clearly there's some more tweaking that needs to be done there, and they just have to figure out what that right fit mix, whatever you want to call it, is, because with the power play in the NHL, it's just so streaky. I mean, you could have hot streaks and it could come on and it's alive and then you're going, but a lot like anything else, if you're snake bit, you're snake bit.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is the benefit of doing. I'm going to tell you something right now. The The one thing I love very much about this job is that so far 90% of my broadcasting is done in or above a bar.
There you go, with beer readily available.
Yeah, and this is the Christmas ale. This thing looks delicious. You did the same thing. Cheers, buddy. Happy birthday again.
Always good. Go get a mini keg of it.
Oh, that's delicious. That's very, very good. I'm a big Avalanche Amber fan, and that's very good too. And I did a little taster of the Palisade Peach.
Yeah,
I like that too.
I'm
not normally a beer guy. I'm a beer guy now.
They even got beer for Giz. That's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's good. There's a lot of things that go up and down in a power play, but for these guys, when they get into a situation like this, you're overthinking it. And that's all it is. It's got nothing to do with the system. It's got nothing to do with the skill set of the guys or the wherewithal to execute on a power play. You're gripping sticks, you're double thinking passes, you're hesitating that half a second on a shot, and
that's too much.
And that's too much. And it's little things like that are going to cause you oopses, and that's what you're seeing right now with the power play. It's nothing about the power play structure or the system in which they use to execute it ain't going to change. They've just got to get more comfortable again.
Yeah, look, I think it really is those half seconds. You look at some of the options. Mikko Rantanen has one of the best one-timers in the league. It's not Ovechkin or Stamkos level, but it's really good. You also have guys like Nathan MacKinnon who, look, I know a lot of people over the last couple of years have grown tired of his one-timer from the circle, but the thing his one-timer from the circle did for their power play is everyone in the league had to respect that Nathan MacKinnon was going to shoot that puck. Yeah. So you didn't get goalies cheating over to Mikko's side. You didn't get goalies trying to read plays because they knew Nathan MacKinnon was probably going to shoot.
Yeah.
So he's kind of swung too far back the other way where now you're seeing, okay, he's not shooting enough. You're just, the last couple of games, you're starting to see him try it a little bit more, but it's got to keep coming. It's got to become more consistent because the Avs have been red on their power play. Everyone has shut down their bumper pass that was working at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Everyone has recognized that the Avs like to work that seam pass across between MacKinnon and Mikko, and they're taking that away too. So you're left with a lot of plays that aren't super dangerous right now because the Avs aren't pulling the defense around the zone like they were earlier in the year.
Yep. I'm telling you, buddy, you know exactly what you're looking at. I think the other thing is, too, anytime you struggle in a situation like this, and I did it when I played and I did it when I coached, just throw it out the window and just get a little greasy.
Yeah,
get a little greasy.
You always need that.
If you're struggling right now, even for an individual player, if he's struggling, just go to the front of the net. All you need to do is just break that seal, if you will. Just pop one in, get something going,
and a bunch will come once the first one.
100%. It's like a waterfall, right? You get one thing going for you, and the rest will kind of sort of fall into place. Yep. I'm not overly worried about it. I think the benefit of today off and tomorrow off lends them to catch up, get a little bit of rest. They're in the sunshine.
The extra days.
San Jose.
When you're sick and you get that extra day off, you're going to start feeling a lot better.
Yeah, guys are buckled down. But also, you're playing two weaker teams your next two games in a row. Perfect time to get off the schneid and pound in some power play goals. Try some different things out because you're not going to get the pressure that you got against a defensively staunch team like the Vancouver Canucks.
Well, and look, I guess I'll be the one to say it. There might be some extra oomph behind a couple of those shots in San Jose if Georgiev gets the start.
Oh, buddy.
I think the Avs might have to work through some anger issues on that one.
Buddy, I'm telling you right now, if Georgiev starts, you're going to see those guys going harder to the net than you have ever seen them this season.
I 100% believe that, and I believe the score is either going to be 8-1 or the Avs are getting shut out. I don't think there's any.
I don't think Georgiev does not have a shutout in him against the Avs. I mean, I really hate to jinx that, but I will be saying the shutout word to that guy every other second. I would also imagine that the first few shots are a little higher than they normally would be.
They're going to come in hot.
They're going to come in hot. That puck will be fired above the crossbar 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. Listen, I'm sorry. It's a thing. He wasn't the best teammate, in my opinion, from what I've seen.
I mean, I think that speaks for itself on the ice.
Could be wrong.
Not a lot of players have slashed their own teammates. So
it's kind of a thing. You don't really do that. If I'm Sam Malinsky, my first shot from the point is right to the cage. Just give it a go. He won't because he's a great kid, and he really can't score if you hit the goalie in the head. But I would send a couple shots across the wire there a little bit. So I am interested to see if that is the goaltending matchup. I'm assuming that it will be with 2 days rest.
I would think so.
You're going to start your starters. I'll have to look at San Jose's schedule ahead of time, but
maybe Greer makes a decision. I guess it's not really Greer, but maybe the Sharks make a decision there, whatever it is. But certainly it should be Blackwood for the Avs, and the Blackwood versus Georgiev conversation. I don't know how interesting it is necessarily, but I do think there is a little bit of meaning of this is our new guy and that's our old guy.
There's also a little bit of lightness in the wallet for coach in San Jose there, just whapped with a $25,000 fine for inappropriate conduct towards an official. So, might be a little light under the Christmas tree in San Jose this year.
If ever Bednar ends up taking that fine, I think the Avs fan base would have a GoFundMe filled for it in like 15 seconds.
The nicest guy in the history of the face of the earth. Yeah. If he's upset about something, you've done something wrong.
So,
you've upset the apple cart there.
Have your coaches back, San Jose. That's all I'm saying.
Any last thoughts before we move on about last night? We're going to talk about standings today. Eric's going to join us for a little bit. We'll also get into some power rankings, and then we're going to finish the show off with if the playoffs started today and what that sort of means for this Colorado Avalanche team. And it's a good thing. And I actually really like the matchups the way it would be if it started today. We'll see how that would play out.
Yeah, I don't put too much stock into it starting today, but it's a fun conversation to have. So we'll talk about it. But yeah, as far as last night is concerned, I don't really have too many over thoughts about it. Like, your best players have to play better than that, and they will. Defensively, that second period you need to clean up. There were a couple of lost men and opportunities that you probably aren't very happy with. Certainly, look, you got a hat trick scored on you by Kiefer Sherwood. That's not good. Your depth is what it is to a little bit of an extent. You only have the guys you have in the bottom of your lineup, and you have to deal with that. But you can't be getting beat that badly by the other team's depth. If you give up one goal, you don't feel great, but you can live with that. If you're giving up 3 goals to a bottom sixer on the other team, you're just not going to win.
This team is on the verge of putting it all together at once, and there's been some factors that are quote-unquote acts of God that have prevented that from really all coming together, and that's the litany of injuries to start the year, the terrible goaltending, and then you parlay that into the unhealthiness, and it just runs into each other, and you can only fix so many problems at once and put out so many fires before the house burns down. The Avalanche, and we're going to get into the standings in a minute, have basically done that because of where they are at in the standings. But just as a quick reminder, Tiff, we'll take a look at Dr. McRuvier's injury list as it stands right now. Nothing really changes. There was some movement, obviously, today with Wagner going on to waivers. Tells me they're moving roster spots around a little bit. I would very much anticipate to see Manson back in the lineup and potentially some others, if not against San Jose on Thursday, certainly against Anaheim on Friday.
Yeah, Manson's on the trip. You mentioned that the other day. And the Avs have essentially all season been juggling roster spots to make it work as guys get healthy or guys come out of the lineup or whatever it is. So, honestly, I think they've done a brilliant job of that, really, as they've done a good job of finding cap space where they can and managing a roster that has been, frankly, nonsense. I think they have 37 different players that have already suited up for them this year.
And how many rookie debuts?
Yeah,
you had, I think it's like 8?
It's 8? At least 6.
Wow.
It might be like 8. I would have to count them out.
Yeah, me too. I'm losing track of that.
And you have 7 different goalies that have dressed as well, so it's just outrageous. Manson coming back. Look, I know he did not play particularly well through the first portion of the season, but the Avs kind of need someone like that back. You need a guy who can be a physical body and is a little bit better with the puck. Again, nothing against Keaton Middleton. He came in and he did his job as a depth defenseman. He gave you what you wanted, but the NHL puck skill is just not there with him. And Josh Manson at his best, it is. So if Manson can come back and have his game cleaned up a little bit, the Avs defense is going to start giving up 2 or less a lot of nights.
Yeah, and listen, I like Manson a lot. I think he started promisingly, and then he had some downtime, and then the wrist injury. It's a good time for him to kind of sort of reset, reflect. He gets back into the lineup. I'm thinking tomorrow. I really am. I would love to see that. I think he's listen. He works hard. He skates beautifully. I've been watching him at Family Sports Center. I've been playing a little pickup hockey in the morning, and those guys get on after us, and I think he looks good. I think he's going to come back strong. I hope he does, because I think he's good for the group, too. He's a good personality in the room, and they're going to miss that, too. But they're getting that back in spades, especially with their two new goaltenders. That tandem has been great in that regard also.
Would you say Josh Manson goes so far as to live well?
Oh, he lives really well, yeah.
You can live well, too, with Live Well, the Colorado local dispensary with 25 different locations. They want to give access to everybody to cannabis so everyone can live well. You can check out any one of their locations, and their staff will be great. They'll help you out picking out whatever products you might want, whether that's flour, whether it's joints, whether it's topicals, whether it's gummies, and a ton of other stuff, too. So they're very knowledgeable. They'll walk you through everything if you're new. If you know exactly what you want, you don't have to talk to anybody. You can go online to livewell.com and order your stuff for pickup, walk in, grab it, and get out of there in a hurry. So go check them out today if you haven't. Get to your local Live Well. And the best part is when you walk in store and you mention code DNVR, you'll get 25% off any product that is on their shelves, not for sale already at Live Well. Go to livewell.com today.
I can hear you now, buddy, and and that means I'd like to welcome our newest partner in Verizon. Listen, with the rising costs of everything, it's incredible. I just got my cell phone bill from a provider that shall be unnamed, and I was surprised to find out that the bill has now gone up about $25 without even understanding what that is.
Welcome to the racket.
So it's time for me to make a switch, and 'tis the season to switch to Verizon, because right now you can get a $200 Verizon gift card when you switch and purchase a select phone on a select unlimited plan. Start these holidays off right with a great network and use that gift card to start checking other great tech gifts off your list like smartwatches, tablets, headphones, and more. It's the 5G network that powers your day, from calling mom. I'm a big advocate of calling mom before takeoff or every day, to streaming jams while in traffic, etc. Verizon has you covered. And by the way, Verizon, this is why I'm switching, lets you trade in any phone, any condition, guaranteed for a great deal on a new one with the Ultimate Unlimited plan and a phone trade-in from Apple, Samsung, or Google. Switch now and get a $200 gift card only at Verizon. $200 Verizon e-gift card sent within 8 weeks. Requires device payment purchase. Minimum retail price of $799.99. And port in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan is required.
Very nice.
Big fan of calling mom.
Yeah, you're a mom caller.
You call your mom. You gotta call your mom, right?
Text her usually,
you
not a call,
text,
but yeah.
I call mom. I got to call dad more. I call mom all the time. But, you know.
It's all the
Dad's
same.
busy, yeah. Mom's chilling, doing mom stuff.
I don't think my dad would answer calls.
No. Guy's hard to get a hold of sometimes. Kate, though. Kate's right there. Johnny on the spot. But let's switch the conversation into standings, because the Central standings are absolutely wild right now. And if you would have told us, based on the way that this season started, in terms of the goaltending, in terms of the injury, in terms of literally everything else that was going on, that the Colorado Avalanche would be sitting in fourth with 36 points and the Winnipeg Jets would lead the Central with 45, I would have probably laughed at you.
Yeah, the way the Central has played out has been pretty darn unpredictable. Not just Winnipeg, but Minnesota, too, at the top. I don't know anyone that had Minnesota at the top of their charts for the Central Division. Colorado have done their job. To this point in the season, I think you could expect maybe a game or two better. There are a couple in there that they probably want back, but they have kept themselves in the hunt as far as the Central Division is concerned. Going into the season, it was not supposed to be this bad, and the injuries just stacked up on them. The reality is, though, they have to start making hay right now. It's time. Win yourself a handful of games heading into this winter break, Christmas break, and you'll feel a lot better about where you are. I'm not worried about where they stand. I'm pretty comfortable with where they're at now that you especially are starting to get Blackwood up and running on your team. You're expecting Manson back. You get through the Christmas break and you start talking about guys like Jonathan Drouin. I think they're in a fine position. You'd like them to be higher, obviously, but I'm not worried about where Colorado is. Unfortunately, the hot starts for a team like Winnipeg is going to make it very, very difficult for the Avs to chase down the top of the division, but I'm not worried about playoffs or anything like that.
And they are cooling off. Their last 10 games, 4-5-1. Yep. So, okay, Winnipeg is starting to come back down to earth, which we knew they would have. Yep. Minnesota is doing Minnesota things. Dallas is where we expected Dallas to be. I love Marc-Andre Fleury. I do. We were together for 2 years in Vegas.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a great goaltender. He's an incredible teammate. I don't know if he can keep Minnesota going the entirety of the season.
Yeah, between him and Gustafsson, their goaltending has played above their heads. I think it's safe to say that the goaltending they're getting is not sustainable. This is a fun season. You, funnily enough, have a number of guys that you can consider for the Hart Trophy in the Central Division. Kirill Kaprizov is one of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
He is playing out of his mind. But with Minnesota, they're going to come back down to earth the way Winnipeg has. I'm not saying they aren't a good team, not saying they need to do a whole lot. They're in a position where they can pretty much cruise themselves to the playoffs through the rest of the year, but it's not going to continue to look like this for them. And, yeah, you said it. The crash down to earth has already come for Winnipeg. They're not a team that was going to go 60-6. It was not going to happen.
You can't sustain that, and that was very clear from the beginning that that's where that direction was going. The bottom of the Central, Nashville is the one. I'm sorry, like you actually called it. You're
every
right.
Once in a while, I get one right. Yeah.
I'm wrong. You're cool. I'm not. You're good looking. I'm bad looking.
I don't know about that one.
You're talented. I am not. But yeah, you had that one. I thought Nashville was going to be a wheel. I thought they were going to be a wheel. And then a few days ago at morning skate, I watched them going through reps after the Avs morning skate, and Forsberg and Marcia Show were fighting, like verbally telling each other to F off.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, that locker room is not jiving. And that I did, however, preface that.
Yeah, for sure.
I did say that if that locker room jives, they're good. If it doesn't jive,
they got problems.
They got problems. And guess what? That locker room is a mess, and they got problems.
In a lot of ways, Nashville is the polar opposite of what Minnesota has been, right? Nothing has gone right for them. They are unsustainably bad. No matter how you feel, even myself who picked them to be poor, no one saw them being this bad. No one expected them to be as poor of a shooting team as they've been. And that's not even necessarily...
Across the board, they've won 8 games.
Yes, they're bad.
They're 1-6-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, they're
5-7-2 at home.
This is...
Yikes, man.
This is the universe where if the Colorado Avalanche looked like that, you'd be justified. And all the people calling for Jared Bednar's head, that's what it looks like when you need to fire a coach, not what the Colorado Avalanche did.
Well, and listen, here's the thing with Nashville. Like, I mean, again, it keeps coming up and people keep bringing up the name. And I, for one, am a hugely massive fan of Joel Quenneville. I mean, Joel Quenneville is a difference maker. I mean, you got to really start to think about it. I mean, it's the same reason why St. Louis made their move and brought in Monty, and look at what that's done. Their last 10 games, 6-2-2.
Look, it's kind of a gift that fell into their lap more than anything else. But that's a team that I think got a little bit of revitalization out of it. Now, unfortunately for them, I think they're still pretty heavily on the outside looking in.
I don't know.
They don't have the talent to push themselves through as a hockey team. But, yeah, at a certain point, you have to make a change.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Avs are anywhere near that point, but Nashville certainly is, and the St. Louis was less need to make a change and more felt like the opportunity was there. So, look, I'm just not taking St. Louis seriously until they sort out who are the best players on that team, because you can't continue to exist with Robert Thomas as your number one star and expect to really go anywhere. It's the reality of the NHL. As much of a team sport as it is, imagine where the Colorado Avalanche would be if you just pluck Nathan MacKinnon off of this roster. You would be in trouble if you were Colorado. So the Blues just don't have that level of depth.
We are far away from the trade deadline. I guess not that far away, but we're far enough away from the trade deadline where it's inconsequential at the moment. However, if you take a look at this, man, teams in the Central are going to be active.
Yeah, it's funny. Outside of the Avs, and I guess sort of Utah, who feel in the middle, you have their top 3 teams who are clearly positioned to be in the playoffs.
They're not going to make many moves.
Well, you expect them to buy a little bit.
Maybe a smidge.
Certainly Winnipeg and Minnesota, at least. I'll put it to you that way. And then you have the guys at the bottom. Chicago, probably not all that surprised that they're at the bottom, but I don't think they thought they'd be this bad. They have a lot of veteran contracts that they're probably looking to find value out of.
Yeah.
And then, Nashville, I don't know what Nashville's going to do. They have to try to find a way and sell, but the contracts they gave out to guys like Stamkos, to guys like Marchessault, to guys like Saros, who was there already, but they extended him long term. Nashville's in that weird spot where they might have to make the decision to blow it up, and they might have to give away some guys for cheap.
Well, and that will benefit other guys like potentially Colorado, not necessarily that Nashville would want to make trades within the conference, especially even the division. But
how real is that, Giz?
It's a thing. I mean, I would say it's a thing if you're looking at your 10-year plan.
Sure.
2-year plan. Right? Like you're not going to give the Colorado Avalanche necessarily a guy that might bite you in the butt next year.
Sure.
However,
but like a rental?
Sure. Sure.
I don't think it's, I'll put it this way. I think it used to be a bigger thing than it is today.
I agree.
I think teams realize, hey, the Avs, if they're in that position, might be winning a cup with or without our guy. So
I mean, San Jose traded. You had a Western Conference goalie swap.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I'm with you on that.
At the end of the day, if the value of the trade is the best, even it is from an in-division or in-conference rival, sometimes you just have to do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think I'm getting this question a lot on in person and on social media. What will the Avs do with the trade deadline? I honestly don't know. And I mean, I know I'm supposed to be tuned into everything in the NHL, and I am, but there's one big thing preventing the Avalanche from doing anything, and that question has to get answered. And until that question gets answered, what they do at the trade deadline is if I'm CMAC right now, I've got like 8 different plans and scenarios on the whiteboard in my office.
I can comfortably say they want to buy.
But
they cannot have a solidified plan unless Gabe Landeskog gets ruled out for the regular season. If Gabe Landeskog is not ruled out for the regular season, then you have to get an answer from him. If he plays, that's going to eat up most, if not all, of your cap space that you were considering spending at the deadline.
Well, you got to make if he does. Let's say he does play. I mean, you're making hard decisions on your team currently.
Yeah. You need to free up, it's like another 2-something million space. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, the Avs have hard decisions to make. And, look, it is what it is. That decision has to be made at some point. But the Avs have clearly given Landeskog as much runway as humanly possible to do what he has to do.
Deservedly so.
No, totally.
Again, Gabe is a rock star. Yep. Right. Gabe has done things, and the person that he is, the teammate he is, the captain that he is, it's his runway, and he can take as much of it as he wants to. But knowing that Gabe is that guy, Gabe is also going to be cognizant of the fact that he's got to do the right thing to help the team as well. And at the end of the day, that goes back to, again, my favorite Pierreism, yes or no. And you're gonna have to make a call at some point. I do like what you talked about a couple of weeks ago in hinting at the potential. We'll call it the Mark Stone rule.
The Mark Stone.
We'll call it the Mark Stone. I mean, I don't hate it.
We are at a point where Gabe Landeskog has not played hockey in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And you haven't seen him start practicing with the team yet. Yes, I know he's been skating. Yes, that's good. But it's going to take a long time to get him up to speed, even when we're talking about practices and getting your mindset back into the competitive hockey circle.
Hockey pace is a whole nother world.
Right, and it's mid-December. We are already at mid-December. If you get him start practicing with the team, you're looking at least a month, maybe 6 weeks of work to feel like he's probably ready to play in a game. So if he walks out there tomorrow and says, I'm ready to play, you're talking about February is the earliest he's coming back. Yeah. So if we get another 4 weeks out where Landeskog still isn't properly practicing with the team, you're now talking about him not being back before the deadline. And if he's not back before the deadline, I think you pretty much have to go to him and say, look, we can do this in the playoffs if you think you can do it, but I don't see a world where you fit anymore on the regular season roster.
Yeah. And if that is the case, then it's time to make a move. You got to buy. You got to try to find something to buy. What I've learned from talking to and researching the moves that CMAC is making, he's got an A, a B, a C, a D, an E, an F, a G, an H. He's probably got plans all the way to Z.
He's a planner for sure.
Yes, I can tell. No, so he'll figure it out. I don't think we need to overly stress about it. Coming in as the new guy, I was stressing about it. I'm like, whoa. And now that I've gotten to know it, I'm like, we're fine. C-Mac will take care of it. It's like there's always a solution. Let's play a fun, quick little game here. Where do you see these? Let's take a look at the Central standings again, Tiff, if you could bring those up one more time. Where do you think the Central Division finishes?
I think at this point, Winnipeg and Minnesota will finish top 3. I don't know which one will finish 1. I guess there's a chance Dallas can catch them, but I don't see that happening. But I think Winnipeg and Minnesota are pretty locked into the top 3. I think the Avs could probably still chase down one of these teams. One, because they have a very easy schedule through the rest of the year. They've done a lot of their heavy lifting once they get to this Christmas break. It's been very, very tough for them. They should be able to win a lot of games. I do have a feeling that the Avs finish somewhere in the top 3 in the Central. I just have a feeling in my gut that that's what happens. I do think there might be someone like Utah that can sneak into one of the wild card spots too, though. So we'll see. One of these teams could collapse. I don't think it'll be Winnipeg. I do think Minnesota or Dallas, one of them might struggle in the second half of the year.
I bet you a Breck Brew Christmas keg that the Colorado Avalanche finish in second.
I would agree with that too much to take the bet, I think. But I'll just buy us both a keg, and we'll celebrate it.
Good deal. Well, tell me more about Breck Brew.
Yeah, Breckenridge Brewery. I don't know what else to tell you guys. You can see this place, right?
Pretty sick.
It's not just about the beer. It's all about the vibes, too, here at Breck Brew. So come down to the farmhouse if you guys haven't had the chance to get out here. We've been out here a ton of times. A couple of years ago when the Avs won the Cup, they brought it out here, and we got to enjoy that out on the lawn. It's a great place. If you're a dog person, you can bring your dog out here to the bar and have a great time. So if you haven't been, come to the farmhouse. And if you can't make it out here, if you're not local, you can always find Breck Brew near you with the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com. So go get online and check them out there. Check out their dope merch. Tons of cool stuff from Breck Brew. We always love them over here, whether it's a Christmas ale, an Avalanche, or anything else.
Cheers. This place is awesome. Food looks amazing. I'm about to dig into that later on. The rest of our fam is munching away over there, and it looks unreal. A little jealous, a little FOMO about that right now, but Christmas ale is delicious. I love the Palisade Peach. Just tried that. And, of course, you can't go wrong with that Avalanche Amber Ale that we
my favorite
frequently enjoy while working, which is, again, my favorite part about this job. Foundation is key, and building a strong base and getting yourself up in the standings, as we've been talking about today, is essential for success in the NHL and winning a Stanley Cup. And if you want to do that in your own home, well, there's no better than Empire Today. Because with Empire Today, you get that shop-at-home convenience. You get the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and that price match guarantee. They are the best place to get new flooring. And as a result, you know there are copycats out there. The Colorado Avalanche, there's copycats. The DNVR pod and show and DNVR in general. Well, you know we're the best at everything, and that's why there's copycats out there trying to be just like us. I feel your pain, Empire. You cannot beat Empire on quality, service, and speed. No matter what anybody else is advertising, Empire Today is your perfect spot to get exactly what you need. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutions. I'm looking at new flooring in my place right now, and personally, that virtual floor designer is amazing. I was able to upload my room. You get a good look at everything, and you know exactly how what you're trying to get is going to fit. So there's no guessing in it, and the process is simple and uncomplicated. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners get $350 off when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/DNVR for details.
Don't be like Nashville. Don't have the floor fall out.
Ooh, floor just collapsed. They went with that cheap, under-quality crap.
Exactly.
And with they went with a terrible beer provider. Right?
Yeah, that's
terrible flooring.
Everybody makes decisions in life.
Their pets' heads are falling off. It's insane. It's a mess. Absolute mess in Nashville. Music City falling to the ground. Real quick before we move on from the standings, just anything else in the Western Conference in general that has surprised you? We'll worry about the East later, but I'm pretty excited about the Los Angeles Kings doing well. Vegas is whatever I expected them to be. I guess the only thing that I'm surprised about in the Western Conference is San Jose, and Macklin Celebrini playing as good, if not better, than Connor Bedard.
Look, Celebrini was my pick for the Calder.
Me too. Me too.
I was all about that. But yeah, Connor Bedard with the sophomore slump in Chicago is, I don't know if I want to say unexpected, but I think certainly Chicago has hoped for a little bit more there. How much of that is what's going on around the rest of the organization? Obviously, they fired their coach already this year, so there's other problems there than just Connor Bedard maybe starting a bit slow. The rest of the West has not really surprised me all that much. I didn't think Vegas would be quite this good with as much turnover as they had, but they're off to a great start. Happy to see it for them, I guess. Yeah, the rest of it feels about where it should be to me. As far as surprises go, I think it's hard for us to see this because we cover the Avalanche every day, but I think the rest of the West is a little bit surprised about the Avalanche just because of how injured they've been and how tough of a road it has been for them to start the year.
Agreed.
I know you mentioned it the other day. I think a lot of teams and a lot of managements are sitting there going, this is a team we have to be careful with. This is not a team sitting in the middle of the pack that is a team that we should beat every night.
No, the phone calls last week after the goaltending trades finalized, I mean, my phone was blowing up. Guys are like, are they for real? And I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, oh, man, I didn't see that coming. And I'm like, yeah, well,
yeah.
There were moments here we didn't either. C-Mac to the rescue.
Yep.
Give that guy a statue. We're going to talk power rankings. We're going to talk about playoffs if they started today. We've got a whole bunch of that and more coming up. But first of all, we got to check in with our boy, Big E, Eric Lacroix, calling in from Boston. And good news, Max survived his birthday. He's alive. The kid had a great night. He's doing awesome. I cannot believe that kid is 21 years old now. But Maxie, I love you, kiddo. I'm glad you had a fun night. And let's check in with Dad.
All right, Central Division. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh, I don't know. I didn't expect that kind of start this season for that division. First of all, I did envision some of the teams being towards the top and some of the teams having a coaching change, for example, like the St. Louis Blues. But here's my thoughts. I'm going to go from the tail to the top. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. I'm going to keep Chicago at the bottom. I think they're, the rebuild's been a little bit slow. That coaching change this year. Luke Richardson gone. Bedard on a slump, then picks it back up lately a little bit. I think you're going to see a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The growing pains of a rebuild built around a young superstar with not a lot of experience. And again, they're doing the best they can. Chicago's the league is a better league when the Chicago Blackhawks are good. I do believe they will get there when you have players like Bedard. You can build around that, but they got ways to go, and I do believe that they will be at the bottom once it's all said and done. After that, this is my disappointment of this division is the Nashville Predators. I didn't see that. I really thought they would be towards the top. I like what they did last summer. Stamkos, Marchessault. Andrew Brunette at the helm last year, slow start. Next thing you know, they turn it around. One of the best team in the National Hockey League the last 40 years. Last 40 games of the season on the 23 season. 23-24 season. Now, for this season, I don't see it turning around like last year. I just feel there's just a weird mix, and sometimes it just doesn't fit. And this seems to be what's happened there a little bit. Not sure what they can do with those long-term and no-trade contracts type of thing. I'm not sure how you can get out of it. That's why I feel that it's just started so wrong that I believe it's going to keep going in that path, and they'll be right above the Chicago Blackhawks. Next up, I have Utah Hockey Club. I don't mind them. They're on a 6-2-2 run right now. I like Andre the Bear Turingi. I like how they're structured. I like the way that the enthusiasm of a new franchise in Utah, and then it's exciting. And I just feel that that's where they are, like towards the bottom of the middle of the pack there. I don't believe they can keep that 6-2-2 pace that they've been on, for example, lately. I like them. I think they're on their way to somewhere. I think they've done a good job there. Bill Armstrong and Andre Tourigny, I think the pieces are there. I just feel that the teams that are going to be above them are just a little further along or have a little bit more depth or a little bit more experience. But this is definitely a team that we've been listening for a couple years now, people saying that this is kind of the team of the future, a little bit maybe in that division. And I don't think that the pundits are wrong about that. I do see a future for the Utah Hockey Club there. Then I'm going to go with St. Louis. 6-2-2 as well in their last 10. I think Jim Montgomery is an excellent coach. I think you get the coach bump there lately. I do believe that it's going to keep going. I do believe that why not us attitude is going to carry them a little bit towards where I have them 5th in the division. But I do believe they'll be ahead of what I just talked about, the Utah Hockey Club. But I think it was the right move for the St. Louis Blues. They are in midst of a rebuild on the fly. They just added Cam Fowler, again, with the offer sheets this summer. So it's one of those different types of rebuilds. And Doug Armstrong's been there so long and been around a long time that I'm sure he's got a nice plan right now to try to figure this out where the pain is not that bad. 4th position, I have the Dallas Stars. You're going to be like, wow, I felt they had a hot start. I like the Dallas Stars, and so to speak. Sagan was really humming with Duchesne and Marchment. I think it's going to hurt them a little bit. I just had them 4th for all the reasons that all the other teams are going to be playing excellent hockey here after the holiday break. Therefore, sorry, Dallas people, this is where I have them, and nothing but respect to the Dallas franchise. In 3rd position, I got Winnipeg. I have them dropping to Winnipeg down to the 3rd spot. They've had an unbelievable start, the best start in NHL history. They have one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the league. I just feel that down the stretch here, a couple teams that obviously are left on my list there are going to surpass them and go on streaks, and one team's going to stay on a streak. So in 2nd position, I got our beloved Avs. I have the Avs in the 2nd position this year. I do believe that the best is yet to come for this season for the Avalanche. I do believe that, hopefully, knock on wood, they do get a couple bodies back, and their lineup, especially up front, is a little bit more stable. I like, obviously, the trades for the goaltending position the last couple weeks, and I do believe that the home stay, so to speak, and get some more home games. They've been on the road so much that they're going to make hay and have an unbelievable second half to the season. And in 1st place, I'm going to keep Avs fans' beloved Minnesota Wild. I did not see this. I did not have those guys there at all. It's an incredible run. I just have a hunch. I just have a feeling that obviously Kaprizov's at the top of the league right now with McKinnon. They're going to go as Kaprizov goes. And then I do like the swag that GM Bill Guerin is bringing to that group. I do believe that Coach Hines is, has them humming and playing really well. For some reason, they believe in themselves. They believe in what they're doing. And I think it's one of those runs where nobody expected it, and I don't see it stopping. Maybe I'm wrong. And again, that doesn't mean that I'm a fan of the Minnesota Wild. I'm a fan of what they've been doing and accomplishing this year. So looking forward to a great finish down the stretch. I do believe the Avs are going to be right there, but I do believe Minnesota finishes 1st. And, hey, great season so far in the Central Division of the National Hockey League.
All right, Big E checking in. He's got a 21-year-old now. He's getting old.
Yeah, his kids are getting old.
He's getting old. Yeah, his kids are getting old. He's getting old. That means I'm getting old. Just to sort of wrap up our thoughts on the Central, and then we'll talk a little bit about power rankings after our next break. But for you, I know we just kind of said it right before we got to E, but do you see much more movement on the bottom half of it at all? I mean, more so along the lines of, does Nashville figure this out and make some kind of meteoric rise in the standings? I
don't think so. I think it's too late. They didn't do what the Avs did and keep their head above water, so they've drowned. And is there a world where they become competitive? Maybe, but that would mean they have to commit to not selling at the deadline, and it would mean something significant would have to change. I'll put it to you that way. Every hockey fan has gone through seasons, if you've been around long enough, where your team it doesn't work, and it feels like every night everything goes against you. That's the type of season Nashville had, and you can't dig yourself out of the level of hole that they've built. Again, every single fear that Avalanche fans had this year came to fruition for Nashville instead of Colorado.
It's just crazy because they really haven't had the injuries. They didn't have the right bodies. You gambled on bringing in a whole bunch of stars, thinking it would be the fix, and that works or doesn't. It's a 50-50 guess on that, and it did not work.
Yeah, and I don't think this is unrecoverable as a franchise. I think they probably could keep it together and be fine next season or years going forward. Yeah. But whatever happened this year it's too late.
The Colorado Avalanche have an inner circle. Nashville does not.
Hey, it must be nice to have leadership.
Leadership certainly a big deal, and talk about deals. If you become a member of the inner circle with Circle K, you will have all of the deals and be in the know all of the time. I have enjoyed it very, very much. I recently signed up for Circle K, and I've taken advantage of it literally on the daily, especially on the discounts on your gas fill-ups, because when you sign up, you get 25 cents off your first 5 fill-ups, and after that, you get 3 cents off. And then if you hit your mark, you get 5 cents off after that. So the deals are endless, and especially with gas prices going up and Christmas time and all that driving, it is awesome. Circle K is proud to be along for the ride on our Buff Stampede. The membership is free. It's easy to download. You just enter your phone number, your email address, and after that, boom, you're good to go. All you need is your phone number. You enter that at the pump or when you're checking out, and there are deals every single day on food, drinks, and more. Sign up for that Circle K app, and again, you get 25% off per gallon your first 5 fill-ups. Download that Circle K app and sign up for Inner Circle for exclusive offers. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded on the weekly.
When you're in that inner circle, make sure you're pumping those gallons into your Toyota.
Yeah, that's good.
Go get yourself a Toyota at your local Front Range Toyota dealerships. They're the official vehicle of not just us here at DNVR, but the Colorado Avalanche too. So jump in with them. They have 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles, 16 different hybrid vehicles. Whatever type of vehicle you're looking for, they have one. Trucks like the Tundra, SUVs like the 4Runner, sedans like the Corolla, whatever it might be. They have it all. It's Toyota's great. All of their vehicles are awesome to be in. They get you where you need to go, whether it's off-roading or just your local daily commute. Either way, Toyota has you covered. So get with them at your local stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota, Boulder, Groove Toyota, Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche is Toyota.
All right, just a few minutes left here, about 15, 14 minutes left. So let's talk power rankings and then if the playoffs started today.
Yep.
Tiff, with the power rankings, is both of us, or are we coming together on this?
We can agree.
Merge it. All right. Let's talk about power rankings. Who is, we gotta go, we're going 10 to 1, correct?
Now let's go 1 to 10.
I think
it's easier that way.
All right, deal. Most powerful team in the NHL right now.
So to me, 1 and 2 have to be Winnipeg and Minnesota. I don't really care what order we put them in. I think either way is fair.
Okay.
Their starts were just too good to not put them at the top right now.
But you still think they're powerful at this moment?
I do think that they are powerful if you're Minnesota. I think Winnipeg has fallen off a little bit.
So I say Minnesota is 1.
I'm good with that.
And I think Winnipeg is 2.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
After that, you can 3 and 4 for me. It's probably stays out west with Vegas and LA. I think Vegas, especially, I think is pretty easy number 3 for me, and then things start getting interesting after that.
I would say it's Vegas and LA, and I would say it's probably in that order because of just history. Yeah. So I'm good with Vegas at 3. I'm good with LA at 4.
Okay. I'm good with both of those, and then this is where I want to do those first, because now the list actually starts beyond 4. You can
gets
start
tricky
having
here.
some conversations.
Edmonton 8 and 2 in their last few.
Yep. Yeah. look, Edmonton at any time can be a very, very good hockey team. They definitely could make a case. I think you can also make a case for either Toronto or Florida.
Washington is on fire right now and
you know
getting
what?
Ovi back.
You're right. It should be Washington. Yeah, it definitely should be Washington.
Well,
I kind of skipped over them. All right, Washington at 5.
Washington at 5 is a smart play. I think they've been very good as of late. You can't look out for them too often. And they are doing this without Alexander Ovechkin.
Who, by the way, has like 15 goals already this year.
After that, I like Florida quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm good with Florida at 6. Obviously, the cup pedigree is there. They're a very, very good hockey team. I love a lot of the way they're constructed, even after the cup tax that they paid on a couple of guys.
Well,
I don't want to put Toronto here just because they're Toronto, and well,
did we put Edmonton in already, right?
I think I would put Edmonton behind Florida, honestly.
I would too, but I would put them in there higher.
Florida 6, Edmonton 7.
Sure.
And then we have 8, 9, 10. I guess you have to. No, you know what? I think I'd put New Jersey over Toronto.
I would put the Devils. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll give you New Jersey over Toronto.
Okay, so that's 8. So we have 2 spots left.
I'm putting Colorado in here somewhere because of the moves they've made and giving them some grace on the trend, and because, again, my phone has been blowing up, so people know they're coming. So it's not necessarily where they're at right now. It's where they're at right now, but where we think they're also going to trend to. So I have
Colorado at 10, to be honest.
Okay. Who do you have at 9 before I agree with you on that, though?
It's
who else is trending up right now?
It's tough. You could put a lot of teams here. I personally wouldn't do Vancouver. I wouldn't do anyone out of the Pacific. You could probably
Carolina.
Carolina's a fine pick. You could probably put Dallas in that situation too. Any of those, I'd be comfortable with at 9.
I'll go Dallas, and then I'll go. We go Dallas, and then Colorado. I feel like,
and part of the reason that you kind of started getting into why I have Colorado in the top 10 is we mentioned it earlier in the show. Again, they have one of the easiest schedules remaining of anybody. So this is a team that has already been through the wars a little bit, not just the injuries of whatever flukiness, but the hardest part of their season is over. They get to go play a lot of these easier teams. They get games against teams like Chicago, games against teams like San Jose and Anaheim coming up this week. They have a lot of games that should be positive point totals.
And they are at home all of January.
Yes, they finally end this never-ending road trip and get to be at home for a while and get rested and be the best version of themselves. So really, Colorado should be set up to be a top 10 team.
You're going to forget what I look like.
Yeah, you're going to spend a lot of time at Ball Arena, buddy.
I'm going to basically live there. You think Mr. Kroenke would let me just borrow that swank apartment that he uses just a couple of times a year? Just crash out up there?
Give you the dressing room, buddy. That's the best they can do.
I get Bernie's dressing room. Me and Bernie are going to cuddle. I'll be fine. He's a good boy. He's a good puppers. Okay, so those are your power rankings. That's 1 through 10 right now. Yep. I like it. Listen, it's not a homer call to put the Colorado Avalanche in there. It really isn't. This is a team trending in the right direction, and the rest of the league is on notice right now because of the moves they made and because of the setup for the moves that they can make, depending on what gets decided here on Gabe in what I feel like is short order.
And they hopefully should get this guy back soon. And Jonathan Druin, I see chat loving the shirt. If you want it, store.allcitynetwork.com. Go get yourself a Halifax Homies shirt. So
you got the holidays are here. Make sure you're doing that and signing up to be a diehard as well because you get a shirt when you do that. So jump on board with that and grab one for you. Tons and tons of cool designs. D-Line does such a great job with all that. He's always working. So check those out for sure. Has your picks, as we get into what the playoffs look like right now, changed in terms of who you think is a bona fide Stanley Cup contender?
No, I don't think they've changed all that much. Unfortunately for Winnipeg, this is now multiple years in a row where they've proven to be a very good regular season team, and then something breaks for them in the playoffs. I don't know what it is, but this core just doesn't seem to have what it takes.
Well, we talk about playoffs a lot in terms of what does it take, and in hockey, it's peaking at the right time. You cannot come out of the gate as hot as Winnipeg was expect to sustain it,
Yeah.
go through the downfall of what is inevitably going to be a rough stretch, and then somehow think you're going to pick it back up and get back to a 10-game winning streak like you did at the start of the year.
Yep.
Just the wear and tear on hockey teams is way too drastic as you get deeper into the season. So seeing that play out, I mean, listen, good for Winnipeg for having a wonderful start to the year, but for me, as soon as that happened, I immediately eliminated them from being anything worth a watch in the playoffs.
I mean, they might be worth watching just to see how they implode, but
yeah, sure. It's like watching the buildings go down in Vegas, right? When they destroy a casino and bring in a new one. Like, oh, it's going to be cool. Look at all the dust.
Can't look away from a train
No,
wreck.
you can't. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, the horror.
The other one, I don't know if this is necessarily surprising, but I have lost faith in Edmonton's current goaltending.
Oh, yeah, well, they have too.
Yeah, and that's my point, is like they knew this was a possibility on the
Yes.
table, and with the
Yeah.
way Stuart Skinner has played, I think they are in a very similar spot to where the Avs were 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
They're a better hockey team as far as their record so far this year. They've gotten enough out of the rest of their team that they're squarely in a playoff spot. They're pretty comfortable, but if they don't make a move at goal, I struggle to see them being able to lift the silver thing.
So let's do this, and then we can spring off the conversation. If the playoffs were to start today, this would be your matchups. Mm-hmm. It would be the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, we already know how that plays out.
The Minnesota Wild taking on the Dallas Stars. Would be Vegas, Vancouver, LA, Edmonton. And on the east side, it would be Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Boston, Washington, Ottawa, New Jersey, and the Canes.
Let's go Ottawa.
It would be a wild playoffs if it started like this.
It's interesting because this has more or less been the Central Division playoffs for the last handful of years.
Yeah.
Dallas and Minnesota always seem to play. Obviously, Avs and Winnipeg played last year. A lot of these series are weirdly predictable. Minnesota loses to Dallas every time.
100%.
It happens.
It would be you would be Avs-Dallas rematch.
Yeah. Edmonton always seems to beat LA in round one. I think that's 3 years in a row that they've done that.
Yeah,
So.
Edmonton, Vegas.
And then the East is, I think, a whole lot more interesting this year. You end up with a lot of good teams. Like if Washington, Ottawa actually happens, is Washington actually as good as they've shown? I'm not convinced they can keep that up for 82 games. What even is Ottawa? They haven't made the playoffs in years. Their organization has been in constant flux for the last handful of years.
I don't know what to do on that one.
Right, that's super interesting to me, right? Because Ottawa could end up being a sleeper that makes the second round that nobody would have picked.
Carolina is always a sleeper for me just because of Rod Brindamore, and I've got, knowledge of that locker room and the character in that place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of influence and hands that put their fingers in that pie, and it's a good pie.
Look, if Carolina makes the conference finals, it wouldn't shock anyone.
Right.
I think that is the expectation for them. But I do think New Jersey has turned the corner this year. I think they're the team that they thought they were 2 or 3 years ago, and they can finally show up and hopefully make some noise in the playoffs this year. So if I had to pick, I'd go with my heart and say New Jersey, but I would not be surprised to get that one long.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm having, and anybody of my friends from Detroit would be rolling over right now, but I'm having trouble separating church from state on this. I think, I really truthfully believe that Colorado, with the moves they made and the moves I know they are going to try to make, they 100% for me are in that conference final.
If Gabe Landeskog returns, I wouldn't even blink. They're in the conference final. If he doesn't, I will withhold judgment until the deadline.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
What about who do you think comes out of who legitimately comes out of the East today?
I have to go with Florida, man.
I do
too.
I do too.
I like them too much. The way they play, the style of hockey is the brand of modern hockey that is. It's perfect. The Avs kind of dragged the NHL into this new era of high octane, super high speed, super high skill, everything. And Florida has that, but then they also have the pieces around it to help shut down teams. You have the physical effect of a Matthew Tkachuk on your lineup. You have a clutch player like Carter Verhaeghe. And then you have a blue line that, yes, their blue line did get weaker. They lost some key pieces there, but they also kept some key pieces. Aaron Ekblad has become one of the most underrated defensive defensemen in the league. He is not a first overall caliber player, similar to Eric Johnson in Avalanche history, but he is so solid for that team that they just have all the pieces.
We could probably do an entire hour-long show on this, but let's throw this to you with just about a minute left to go in the time that we have here. And before we get to that, a big thank you to our fam at Breck Brew for having us out to the farmhouse in Littleton. We had some wings while Eric was chatting. Delicious. The Christmas ale is fantastic.
It is.
Make sure you can come by here and pick all of that up. You can find Breck Brew just about anywhere, but the kegs are a great party gift. You can get the 6-packs. This place is amazing. If it is a go, no-go for Gabe Landeskog,
yep.
If it's a go, that's an easy answer. If it is a no-go, quickly, who do you go after before the trade deadline? Do you go after someone to replace Gabe up front, or do you load up another defenseman?
Both.
Okay.
I think you find a way to do both.
Okay.
You need a 3C realistically. You have to keep Colton at wing at this point.
And he's
just
great
too
at wing.
good there. So you need a 3C, and you probably want to go find a number 4D. Unless Josh Manson has a true renaissance when he comes back from this injury, you probably need a number 4D. So I think the Avs can do both. If Landeskog doesn't go, they might have to do some cap shenanigans to make it work, but I think they can fit in both.
All right. Hey, that's a wrap for us today. What a fun time being here at the Breck Brew Farmhouse. It is Rudo's birthday, so make sure you wish him one. We're going to go drink a bunch of beers and probably go streaking through Littleton. So if you're in the area, come find us. Just a pre-warning, it is a little cold outside.
Yeah, it's a little chilly.
That's all right. We'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Big thanks to Eric for calling in, to our wonderful producer, Tiff, Alyssa for setting all this up, and all the wonderful family that we have at DNVR. It is a family, and we are so happy to be doing this for you. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day. Avs are off for a little bit, so we will see you back for the game on Thursday. Until then, make sure you call your mom and find a way to make somebody's life better. Bye, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.